was just wondering why I suddenly heard this sliding sound. A little surprised, but oh well. Let's get in here. Not sure how well I cut through it. Usually I try to be a little more careful than that because I don't want to damage the merchandise on the inside. I'm sort of feeling like I'm not close to it. Fortunately, if something bad happened, it's on video that I damaged my own stuff. Alright. Figured. Is that there? Yeah, there's also something in this. That's why we always check all papers. Alright, and that's not everything. We've also got 3 packages. Smaller packages. Yeah, sorry, I was just checking to make sure that this is the recyclable crap. So, and I call it that. I mean, it's probably still nice, but if I cut it, then it's going to styrofoam all over the place, probably. And that's an air quote styrofoam because I don't know what it actually is. Keep having to reach around the camera. Oh, did not mean to disconnect that. That's just one more thing floating around for me to pick up. But oh well. So, I guess before we get started with this, very quickly, this is the Splatoon 3 amiibos. At least the 3-pack that I found. I should double check just to make sure there aren't more hidden around. Get special in-game gear. It's definitely worthwhile to explore. Everything else I'm not planning to, but yeah, pretty cool. First up, we have 7 Days War. Feature film, okay. So, looking at the back, I see regions A and B, English dub, movie, 7 Days, 7 Confessions. Not sure what to think of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 people. Yeah, I just noticed on the back it's like 7 Days, 7 Confessions. So I'm like, oh, if there's 7 people, then there's something there that it would be describing. But I'm not seeing it. Next up, she professed herself Pupil of the Wise Man. Which definitely has cool characters with it, but there were things about it that were just slightly off with the way it was executed. It wasn't quite grabbing me. Yeah, because I watched this off of Crunchy Munchy, but I can feel that this layer of plastic is here. I just couldn't find it. Oh, that gets it all off. Just split in two. How unfortunate. I see regions A and B. I see an English dub. I would be kind of surprised because the English dub is on Crunchyroll, but yeah. Yeah, don't know. I don't remember if I watched enough of this to say... Oh, you know what? I actually have it over on the left here. I did watch the first 3 episodes. Okay. So that's considered the fair episode mark, I guess? Saiyuki Reload. Burial. Why can I not pronounce that for some reason? Burial. Must just be... Oh, this looks like it's Japanese with English subtitles only. Region A only. Before the journey began. Different cover. Yeah. These stuff. Next up. Goodbye, Don Glees. Atsuko Ishizuka. The new anime to break your heart and heal your soul. Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of it. It's a weird title, and I almost wondered if this was technically maybe not an anime, although maybe anime adjacent, so still interesting to people that would be into anime. But well, anyways, we end up here. Anyways, looked like everything about it suggested it was definitely a Japanese origin, so no question on its anime-ness, no matter what your definition is, unless you're one of those people who thinks the definition, why did this... Interesting. Well, yeah. Anyways, not really any thoughts on the movie itself. Looks like it could be fine. Hard to tell. Magica Record Volume 2, which I don't remember getting Volume 1, but I bet it's, you know, just over there. Okay, yeah, it's good enough quality board to take a peek on it. Magical Record Volume 2. Season 2 episodes. This is the entire second season? Maybe that's why I don't remember. Yeah, this is 12 episodes. Already very interesting looking stuff. Okay. 3 discs. Original soundtrack CD. Okay, yeah, it's... The wrapping was kind of making it hard for me to process, as you can see, what it actually says. But I do believe I never watched the first season, so... And actually, I just opened it up and looked at it, and... I'm guessing this text here indicates whether or not it's dubbed. Yeah, it's just the bright pink on the background makes it hard for me to tell, but taking a look, I do see under languages audio English and Japanese with subtitles English. So, okay, so this is dubbed. And then last but not least, we have Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Entertainment District arc. Why am I having trouble finding this. I feel something here that feels like tape. I think, yeah, that's tape. This is definitely what's holding this closed. There we go. It also feels lighter than it looks, which makes me wonder, did I buy everything I thought I was buying? Because this is the Entertainment District Arc. Well, this here, Well, this is a limited edition. This says everything it comes with. We're going to take a look at it, though, because, I don't know, I'm having trouble reading that. Did I take a look at everything on the box? Alright. And on the bottom thing, we have all of our heroic characters. We have this inserted in there. Interesting. That's a different kind of insert than ones I'm used to seeing. With I think the idea being that this is supposed to feel kind of old-timey, sort of, or something like that. I'm not sure if that's the right word. Soundtrack Volume 1, Soundtrack Volume 2, Soundtrack Volume 3, Soundtrack Volume 4, Jesus, Volume 5, Volume 6. I've never seen a soundtrack. It's a sister, whose name I am blanking on, because I am bad with names. Maybe Tetsuko. Maybe. Well, that looks like most of the extras, and this is probably the content itself. Let's see, a 1 and a 2 and a 3. Oh, Jesus. There's 2 more of these. That's 3 more of these. Wow. Kind of got a lot to look at. Because these do seem to contain the contents of what would normally be in a book. Track lists, staff credit. I saw 6. There's supposed to be 6 of these. I only saw 2 in the other one. Maybe I miscounted. That's 1 through 5. Did I... Hopefully I didn't mix these up. Yeah, this looks different. Well, maybe if I thought a bit more about what I was looking at, I'd have better commentary. And we have our bad guys, and we have just making sure I can find it. It says disc 1 right there. Okay. Disc 2. Disc 3. Which is about what I expected. Interesting. It's a very different special edition than stuff I'm used to seeing both nowadays and in general. Like, it's a little bigger than it maybe needs to be, but I kind of appreciate that because, you know, it kind of feels like it's bigger and more artsy. There isn't a better ordering to these. These are just part of the arts on the outsides, right? I'm not sensing anything clever to be done with that. So, there we go. Here's this week's anime... are these all Blu-ray? Here's this week's anime Blu-ray collection update. Well, here we are, 2023. Feels a little weird because, you know, I've been on PTO for the past 2 weeks. Today, the day I'm recording this, which is Monday, you know, I record these Monday night and then process and post them Tuesday. It's my last day of PTO. Technically, today's not PTO, it was company holiday. I mean, I didn't get any messages from my manager, so hopefully I didn't royally mess that one up. But, you know, it's time to start wrapping things up, get back into that mindset of going back to work, which will be a little tricky, but maybe it won't be any more tricky than just getting up in the middle of a normal work week or something like that, because I'm not very considerate of my own sleep schedule. But we're not here to hear me bitch, at least not about that. Let's go over the various anime I watched. Chainsaw Man, episode 12. So last week, and y'all might have seen this in the conversations on the Discord or YouTube, I think it was on Discord, where I was derping last week and I forgot I'm not actually 2 episodes behind people on Chainsaw Man. That was just a recurring commentary from something else that, maybe that's not, it's not a very clear way to put it. I thought somebody made a comment about the series in a way it's like, oh yeah, I've kind of gotten that feeling. I guess maybe I'm 2 episodes behind because I'm watching it dubbed and the subs making comments about what the show's going to show in 2 weeks. And I saw stuff 2 weeks later that didn't feel like it confirmed that any more than I guess I would have already thought. But all that said, hilariously enough, I was actually watching it subtitled and up to date on the latest episode when I was talking and just completely derped about it. And so that means that I've watched the last episode of this season of Core, whatever they're calling it. You know, we've seen evidence that, you know, naming of stuff can choose to be a little weird if it wants to. And, I'd say some satisfying stuff happened. It definitely went to a place where now it's interesting to see where it goes from here. It did end with one stinger, but that's definitely a very season or core ending stinger sort of thing, so I'm definitely curious where it goes from there. So, pretty enjoyable final episode. My Hero Academia, like I mentioned, the episode I had watched last week was a little, it wasn't as holy shit as the rest of season 6 had been, because it felt like it was preparing for this episode, setting stuff up for this episode, that is. And this episode was a holy shit. Season 6 has been great. The comment of my friend is, oh, next episode? Which we couldn't, because the next dubbed episode wouldn't come out until the day after. So, you know, I'm sitting there seeing on the TV, there it is, waiting for it to be watched, but I'm waiting for my Friday friend. You know, we're staying in sync on that one, and I think we're both in agreement. We're loving season 6. Rising of the Shield Hero, you know, it's really unfortunate because going from that episode down to Rising of the Shield Hero Season 2, episodes 8 through 10, I think it's a reminder. I think I had this same commentary, and watching it a second time, I'm feeling it definitely for sure. There are really 2 problems with Rising of the Shield Hero Season 2. One of those, actually maybe it's more than 2 problems, but one of those is the main
driving emotion from season 1 has dissipated, and it's not pulling along like it should. And I think the reason I'm not sure on the number of problems with it is there's a problem where it does throw some stuff in there that's kind of reminiscent of some of the stuff that drove you to keep watching season 1, but but it really feels more like the show understands that's missing but doesn't know how to properly replace it, so it feels a lot more sloppy. There's also the problem where it's just too fast. I don't know, I think I might have speculated a bit on it last week and the last time I watched it, but this time watching it's like, yeah, it's going through this stuff too fast. Maybe it has no choice, maybe it's not as interesting as the original source material, maybe they knew that and they're trying to get to something more interesting. Fair enough, but it does mean that season 2, best case of season 3 is great, season 2 is a little bit of a slog, while at the same time being a little bit of a rush. And I never talk about that third problem, but this is one I think I mentioned before. I mentioned it to my friend. I really don't like the bad guy. Like, conceptually, there's a lot of things about him that are fine, but in order to make him relevant, they have to have him able to do things that I don't feel like the show has justified us being able to see somebody be able to do something. Which I think is a very convoluted way of saying it, but I think unfortunately it also kind of accurately describes what I'm thinking about without overtly specifying exactly what's wrong, which would be potentially spoilerish. I just kind of feel like, oh yes, well he's the antagonist, but I don't know why he should have the antagonistic power he does. Everything in the first season made sense in that regard because you know, there's this big overarching mystery that's one arm of antagonism, and then there's this other, which are the individual characters involved, and fuck those pieces of shit, but that was kind of what made season 1 work as it was. And I don't know. But it's not that season 2 is devoid of good ideas. There's plenty of interesting things. It's just, especially here in episodes 8 through 10, I'm especially noticing, well, they went through that really fast. They introduced a problem, and they're already gone and out of there. And I could agree, oh yeah, maybe the characters would have stuff, but it feels like we, the audience, don't really attach. I don't know. Season 2's got its problems. Let's just end the complaining there, since I've already complained about it before. Jujutsu Kaisen, Season 1, Episodes 20 through 24. Entertaining stuff. I think the highest point of Jujutsu Kaisen is it definitely has good action going for it, and that's fine. Story-wise, it's a good story, but there's something about it that feels a little off, which has me not sure if I'm jumping into the next season next or not. I don't know. It makes me wonder, because I had a neighbor who mentioned that he was getting the manga because he wanted to catch up on it, and this could just be something that just isn't resonating with me, and it's just a me thing. Don't know, but, you know, it's, again, objectively not a bad show. And like I said, anything that could be seen as a potential problem with it, I've kind of acknowledged, but it's not that bad. So the worst this may be doing for me is it just might not be drawing me in as much as it does other people. Yeah. Anyways. I guess the list of stuff I've watched isn't too... I don't know size-wise how it is, because before I talk about the next thing, I was just going to comment that one of the things I felt like doing a whole lot this past week, which is unfortunate because it meant that not only was my history kind of a mess, I've just been watching a bunch of random episodes, rewatching a bunch of random stuff. Some of that I think led me to at least consider going back to some series that I started but maybe never finished. And so far the things that grabbed me is I was still curious about Dawn of the Witch, but I only watched 2 more episodes of that. And I think what happened It's another one of those shows that failed to grab me, but unlike Jujutsu Kaisen, there wasn't anything about it that was objectively bad, but not necessarily objectively, okay, yeah, the action in this one is really great or something like that. It just feels like there's something important missing from it. Like a theming, maybe, or something. And I don't know how much of this is just me trying to jump back in to 2 episodes after God knows how long ago I watched the first 5 episodes. But, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I might continue watching more of it. I'm not sure this next week things... I think it's a lot more questionable what exactly is going to happen, or what specifically is going to happen. But yeah, there's a whole host of other stuff I've rewatched scenes from, which includes Tsukimichi's Skeleton Knight in Another World, In the Land of Leedale, reincarnated as a slime, reincarnated as a spider. I mean, to be honest, I go back and rewatch some scenes from Reincarnated as a Spider, because that one has me probably the most excited to see more additional stuff. I also forgot the name of it, and looking at it right now, I still don't know. It's a Serigensuki Spirit Chronicles, and I wanted to rewatch some scenes from that one too, and I did. And I think the interesting one is Arifureta from Commonplace to World's Strongest. I think I only watched the first season of that, and looking at it, there's an entire second dubbed season available on there. And it's not like it was the best show, but it's something that for some reason, you know, even though it's like, oh, I'm going to create this thing and kind of show it off, it felt more interesting than a lot of shows like that try to do that. In fact, it's a common failing. I probably complained about something recently that was doing that. I don't remember what, but I think I'm probably going to target season 2 of that. It's dubbed, so if my attention is about to get split, either between Pokemon and anime or work in anime, and the split between work and anime can't be too involved, so it can't be something subtitled in any way, shape, or form. If that's ever going to happen, it's going to have to be dubbed, and it's like that one's probably not even going to happen, because I'm going to go back to work from being away for 2 weeks, and I'll have a lot of stuff to read. Granted, a lot of other people will have been on PTO, but 2 weeks is still 2 weeks. But, you know, it's targeted, and we'll have to see. I might rewatch some of the last episode just to make sure I'm refreshed on that. For other things I continued, is it wrong to try to pick up Girls in a Dungeon? I thought I was watching Season 4. Turns out those 11 episodes are only Season 4 Part 1, with Season 4 Part 2 coming out later this year. Did it look like it was maybe starting to come out in a couple of days? I'm not sure, and I probably won't watch that, because if it is coming out in a couple of days, it's only going to be subtitled, and I just watched it dubbed, so I might still be taking a break between Part 1 and Part 2. But for the contents, I'd still say it's pretty entertaining, but definitely flawed. Although this Part 1 ends in a position where, like, I don't want to stop. So if I were to try and talk about what was a little off with it, I suppose it's hard to tell how much it feels like it's definitely continuing on from the previous season, which is a problem I think it knows, because it's like the previous season introduced the idea of friendly, intelligent monsters, and I think it's still pretty relevant to Season 4 here, but it's not entirely forgotten about. But at the same time, it makes sense for us to not see and revisit those characters, because they unfortunately are too interesting and would be too easy to grab our audience's attention. But the trade-off for that seemed to be to introduce only one of them in this season, and to kind of introduce and hide it as necessary. Maybe necessary is the wrong word. Introduce and hide it as convenient, possibly. Still a cool character. But, you know, there's a little bit of that, because it was done that way, it feels maybe a little artificial. But not entirely bad. I think Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon has been the kind of show that rests pretty comfortably on good, solid tropes. And I think it continues to be a good series in that regard. And Season 4 in particular, one of the things that's really nice and refreshing about it is, if I were to say there's one major theme about this, it's that our main character has become a motherfucking badass. And it knows that, and it's not overblowing it. Like, I'm definitely curious what's going to be happening beyond this and what implications could or could not be in terms of what's going on, but it does seem to be building up closer towards a big thing that is kind of the goal of the series, I suppose, to a certain degree. And I'm not sure how close it actually is to that, but it does feel like it is properly building up towards that. So it's just overall been a pretty nice season. I'm definitely looking forward to part 2, but again, I'm not sure when that's going to happen. Beyond that, if there was anything else that was going to be dubbed and come out, it might have gotten skipped because it's New Year's. I think a good example of that would be To Your Eternity. It does not look like the 9th dubbed episode came out. And I think I mentioned this last week. I kind of was surprised that episode 8 even came out dubbed. Because let's face it, you know, it's Christmas and New Year's time. People gotta go on PTO. I'm not the only one. I don't expect the world to continue moving just because it's convenient for me and things like that. So hopefully this is a good indication that, yeah, other people got some holiday time. Hopefully y'all got to enjoy some holiday time. Or you know, I think some people like to work during the holidays, either because that's actually when the workplace is the most sane for people who work on office jobs. And for people who work retail, it can maybe be hella fucking crazy, but you also tend to get paid well, and maybe that windfall is great for people. And I don't know, I just hope everybody had a good holiday season. I mean, it'd be nice if we had a good all at all times, but life is not that fortunate to all of us, of course. But yeah, that's all the anime stuff. I know I've checked up once or twice on Uncle from Another World. I'm not seeing Netflix mention any new episodes, although I haven't checked in the last 2 days maybe, so I mean, maybe it's been slightly longer, I don't know. But at the same time, I got the feeling that if there are episodes that started airing around the time that new episodes were going to be starting airing, that Netflix didn't pick them up. If so, it's pretty unfortunate. Not much I can do about it. Oh yeah, is this the year I have to worry about that? Got something else to check up on. Nothing related to y'all. But, yeah, there's that. Other series, I think, yeah, I don't know. I've got things to check out. Alright, and as for Pokemon, you know, I guess I've just been spending the time building more post-game raid Pokemon. I guess my focus lately has been a little bit more on shiny versions of things. Like, I'm not trying to complete a shiny Pokédex, but there are some Pokemon I look at and I'm like, yeah, I think I want the shiny version of that. And I guess that's how I'm ending my holiday PTO, my winter PTO, is having done some more shiny hunting. In this case, I went shiny hunting for all 4 forms of Oricorio. Technically, I went shiny hunting for 1 form of Oricorio, and I caught 4 of them in a single sandwich. Glad that the game understood where I wanted to be, and we agreed on where it needed to go. And well, if you're asking why Oricorio, it's just a thought that I wonder if going into a match with all 4 running Oricorio could actually be a viable strategy. I don't really expect people on the internet to be able to do that, but if I'm going to do that, I might as well have 1 of each form. I like 2 of the shiny forms a lot. The other 2 I'm indifferent, but I'm just like, you know, if I'm gonna try and catch 2 of them shiny, I might as well try and get all 4 shiny forms, train them independently. I think they're all going to have the exact same moveset, but just different Terra types and then different typing and thus different revelation dances. So the idea, I guess, would be that if I wanted to use one versus the others, I would have the ability to do that. Just kind of funny if you think about it. But, you know, it is what it is. Cinderace was a motherfucking bastard. Like, he floored people that thought they were prepared. So he was nowhere near as easy as Charizard. Supposedly, Nintendo intended for you to use Gyarados and Gengar against him. Supposedly. I guess if you use a mix of them, you are able to deal with some of the problems he brings to the table. But I don't know. I guess they probably did that for Charizard too. But, you know, we're all looking for the Pokemon that wins it. And we do have one that seems to be the most reliable for beating him in solo play. But it sounds like it was hell trying to do it on multiplayer. And I just didn't jump in the multiplayer bandwagon as much this time. Didn't need to. There was always Pokemon to train and catch and level up and all that stuff. So I've just been doing that, pretty much chilling, not really doing anything that noteworthy otherwise. I guess that pretty much wraps up everything here. So hopefully y'all will have a nice week.